if the experience of the bias. Kasi ever since when I was young, we were 9, no, in the family, siblings, no. But I was the 5th, and I grew up. I'm the 5th, and I grew up with my grandmother. So I was sort of like part and yet not part of a big family, no. So parang I've always been a spectator, and I've been trying to analyze. Bakit ganon? Bakit yung isang bata, pinaiyak niya yung isang bata? Bakit may ganon? So I always try to find the reason behind. So when I experience the bias, at an early age, I ask myself, why are they doing this to me? Why is this attitude towards me na I'm not doing anything wrong naman with them? Comparing to my friends back home, it has never been an issue. Then I try to ask them, like yung, wala kang buntot? Yung gano'n. So, in other words, sabi ko, so they don't really know. I mean, maybe this is their first time to really meet, no? And interact with the Moro. But if they were told, because at the time, history books, no, says a Moro is a ramentado. It's in the history books. So education, no? Our educational system is also contributing to this, no? Kasi the textbooks that we have, no? So in a history book, it's written there, no? Like for example, what is a Moro? It's a play depicting the conflict between the Moro and the Christians. So therefore, the Moro is the kontrabida, ganun. So it stays with the mind, no? And then if you describe a Moro as a ramentado, if you describe a Moro, so ganon. And then I also found out from the friends na sabi, you know, kasi nung maliit kami, pag hindi kami matutulog, tinatakot kami. Okay, ayan, nandiyan na yung Moro, kukunin ka. So, ang feeling namin, nakakatakot yung Moro. And so, what I did was, I understood that it's a question of not really having a positive experience, or having as a misinformation, as miseducation. And so instead of staying in that negative attitude, o sige, kung ayaw sa amin, kung bias ka sa akin, so mag-aaway tayo, I felt like I need to do the first positive thing forward by befriending them and saying, uy, hindi naman ako ganyan, ha? Hindi ko naman puputulin yung ulo mo, wala naman ako. At saka hindi ako marunong puputulin yung ulo. Kasi yan, so I start explaining and clarifying this. Then I found out that that's really ignorance. It's the problem. But it doesn't help that it gets to be perpetuated pa din, no?
How many years did it happen when you were young?
So we were here 1974. I was in high school at 1974. So how many years na yan? Diba? That's 2010 na ngayon. Oh, that's more than 20 years, no? That's more than 20 years that I experienced that thing.
Kasi I'm Cebuana. I don't remember feeling that way. I don't know, is it the distance? Manila is farther away from Mindanao?
But what's surprising is that in the Pulse Asia 2004 survey, it's part of the PHDR report, 33 to 39%. That's huge, huh? 33 to 39% of Filipinos, adult, interviewed, are still biased towards the Muslims, even though only 14% of them have actual contact. So parang, it's still huge, no?
Perception is
And that's 2004. It's still pretty recent, no? So sabi ko, it's still there. And so sabi ko, it's important if I get to be elected in the Senate to really look into these things, because my main really advocacy in addition to gender equality is peace, no? Because I really strongly believe that the peace in Mindanao, the armed conflict issue, has been almost 40 years from now. the next administration should really do its very best and really commit to resolving the problem, because we can no longer allow our civilians, particularly women and children, to be the collateral damages. So it has to end. So sabi ko, part of that peace that that a national peace policy that I'm looking at as a senator, if I get elected, is resolving the armed conflict, just resolution to the armed conflict between the government and the Moro rebels, because its impact, really, its economic and social cost is so huge, no? Poverty is increasing, and government spending on war should be spent on social services, no? You like one whole week served bomb costs 7,300, and how much a school building and textbook do we need, no? And so if you're looking at the budget spending, it's really billions, no? And so that should go to the services, no? Because if you look at those who are in terms of access to basic services, hirap pa rin yung kababaihan because of their, by virtue of their being a woman. For example, in terms of reproductive health, women die of reproductive related services, no? And their access to basic services, wala, no? Yung maternal mortality, morbidity, and infant mortality, morbidity is increasing, no? So sabi ko, instead of spending it on war that it's people who's dying, and we'll end up all losers in the end, no? We all end up, losing. I mean, the government, the Mar government, should really commit to really resolving the problem. So, but it's not only the economics of the conflict, but the social cost. I don't know if you've read what I've also written in some articles when I said in displacement, and I have a first-hand experience of displacement. Women are more vulnerable to displacement because by virtue of our being women, you're vulnerable to rape, you're vulnerable to trafficking, you're vulnerable to all this type of prostitution and all this and that. Kasi you're a woman, and those who earn from conflict see you as a potential commodity, no, for exploitation. In the evacuation center, like all families will evacuate, no? May ibang yung let's say pag tumama yung bomba, it doesn't discriminate, no? It kills, no? And there's also a difference between a woman who died or targeted by the bullet or the bomb and the man, because a woman could be a pregnant woman. And there are instances of a woman pregnant wherein the fetus would get spilled out from her womb. And so when you find her, the womb is open and the fetus is nowhere to be found. So parang if several pregnant women